This is a woman who has put this country into the toilet economically. It's pathetic, isn't it? Now, this is going to be catastrophic for people.
Starmer's clearly distancing himself from it.
We're a laughing stock around the world. They're putting a sticking plaster over the mistake. So they're not fixing anything. Well, I don't think he dislikes Britain, JJ. I think he hates Britain. The state have already led back 400 ISIS fighters. These are people who left this country to go and fight to destroy the West. I don't care what happens to her or any of the other jihadi wives. They're traitors.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Expresso. I'm JJ Anisiobi, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Carole Malone.
Oh, hello, I'm suspicious already. Starting off with wonderful.
No, you look great.
Well,
what colour is
fair.
that?
I'm a little bit stressed.
Why are you stressed out
I've
for?
just had the worst cab journey here on the planet. A man who doesn't know any streets in London, can't read Google Maps or whatever, asked me to put the postcode in, so I'm a little bit stressed. Anyway, but I'm looking at you now, and you're relatively smart. But
Thank you.
seeing that you're wearing a badge there, and I think I know what that badge is.
What's
it's a
this
worthy
badge?
cause.
What's in the badges, Carole?
The badge says MND.
It is. So, Motor Neuron Disease Association, This is the new logo. They just launched it yesterday. I don't want to name drop, but I was at dinner yesterday with Princess Anne, and she unveiled the new badge and the new logo. And yes,
Did you put her off her lunch? Or
It was dinner.
But
Nice try.
This is actually a really good thing. It's a terrible disease.
It is.
And more people need to know about it.
Exactly. The D in MND, it's 6 different fingerprints because 6 people every day are diagnosed with MND.
It's a terrible thing.
It is terrible.
You know, Coronation Street, I'll tell you quickly, Coronation Street did a storyline on it last year.
They did.
Where they had a young man who had it. And, and it took him a long time to die. But it was useful in the sense it showed you exactly what this disease does to people.
Yeah.
You know, diseases, the names of trip off people's tongue, but actually this was a terrible, terrible thing. So well done you. That's something good you're doing anyway.
Well, I've got another good thing up my sleeve. How's this? I've got an exclusive for you.
Well, that's unusual. Who did you put? I mean, is that in your life? The one?
My first ever award exclusive.
Okay.
Rachel Reeves is apparently spitting feathers. She's furious that Starmer's gone to China and she wasn't brought along, which kind of makes sense, right? Because he's taken 60 leading business people from the UK to China to try and do all these deals, and the person who's supposed to be in charge of growth and supposed to be working with those business people is left behind.
Well, it's not surprising because she's a big old dud as a Chancellor, as she is in most other things. You know, this could be the beginning of the end for her. You're right. This is he's taken a delegation of 60 people, and they are and China. A lot of the big trade deals are going to be announced now. She would have nicked credit for that, even though she'll have had absolutely beggar all to do with it. She would have nicked credit. Maybe Starmer, who thinks he probably needs a little bit of credit at the moment, has just decided that he's going to take it all. But it's pathetic, isn't it? I mean, this is a woman who has put this country into the toilet economically. You know, business is struggling as we speak. She sent one of her minions into the Commons today to talk about this piddling 15% she's going to give off business rates for pubs, not for the rest of the hospitality industry. And she sent her minion, I think it was called Dan Tomlinson or something. Anyway, he got bollocked by the Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, for going on too long. It took him 15 minutes to say something that could have been said in one sentence, like, this is all we're giving you. And she's upset that she's not going to China. She should be sorting out the mess that she's created here, all the U-turns that she has caused. And the thing is with these stupid U-turns, the thing about this for the pubs, it's just too little too late, as is everything with her. You know, and I don't know what they think they gain from these U-turns. All it does is make us hate them more because, one, they've admitted the mistake, and they're not actually putting the mistake right. They're putting a sticking plaster over the mistake. So they're not fixing anything. So, you know, now we read all the time that because of this now, the high street is on the verge of total collapse. Lots of shops and chains. There was one big bar chain shut yesterday, 600 staff gone. We're losing 1,400 jobs a day, 220,000 jobs lost since Reeves came to power. And there's talk now that the economy is so bad because of her that mortgage rates could go up now. Now, this is going to be catastrophic for people. We've just recovered from the high ones, 2 years ago, and they're just coming down now to a rate where people can deal with it. And now, because of her incompetence, they're probably going to go up again. I mean, why is this woman still in a job? It astonishes me. maybe it's because Starmer's thicker than her, but there has to be somebody better. There has to be somebody better in Labour, close to the cabinet, that could do a better job than her. Because everything she touches turns to you-know-what. And yet still she's allowed to go on, destroying this country.
Go and get, whether it's our own Harvey Jones or
Yes.
another financial expert, get them to be in charge of the
Get someone
the exchequer.
who knows about money, who knows about business, who understands how businesses run. You have to, the thing about Farage, he ran small businesses for decades. He knows how they work. And that gives me great hope for if and when he's elected that he will understand business. But Reeves has no idea. And what upsets me is that she's, she grandstands. She was doing it the other week in Davos, where she sits there and talks about how brilliantly Britain's doing, how stable we are in a sea of instability. I mean, it makes you wonder about, what's going on in that bonds of hers. And we know there's nothing going on because hence her policies. But, what is she's doing now to hospitality and to businesses is shameful. And it could be stopped. And she's not doing a damn thing to stop it.
One of my sources also says that there's going to be, as you just said, some big deals announced with China, which is great for us. Bad for Reeves that she's going to have no association with this huge success. So I think she is going to be on the out soon. Starmer's clearly distancing himself from her.
But he should have done this a year ago. She's hopeless. And the thing is, the reason he didn't do it a year ago is the reason he doesn't do many things is because it would have looked bad on him.
Yeah.
Because if he'd sacked her, people would then be looking to him and saying, what about the economy? And he knows even less about it than she does, and less how to fix it, that's for sure. So he was protecting himself, as he always does in everything. But, I would really like to know who he's got in mind to fill her shoes. In Davos last week, she was shameful. We talked about it. She was stuttering and mumbling and sounding like a buffoon. And hopefully Starmer looked at that and thought, well, we just can't have this anymore. And why is she angry? She has a big job to do here. It's a massive job. And nothing is being done to help business in this country. And she needs to put her head to the grindstone. Why isn't she going out to get top business people? Why isn't she calling them in? Because we know that she has advisors. I mean, who are they? They're from the same school of economics as she is.
Yeah.
The dancers.
Finally, Trump is going to be pretty annoyed when he hears about all these deals because he's threatened Canada with 100% increase on tariffs because they've done some deals with Beijing. We're going to follow suit, I presume.
Yeah. I mean, Trump, can do what he wants to us, basically. I mean, I know Starmer likes to kid himself that he's got a half-decent relationship with him, but he hasn't. Trump has, as we know, very recently called him stupid, or called his seller of the Chagos stupid. Yeah, he may well do. He could even cancel the trade deal with us. He's already threatened that. He threatened that a week ago over the fuss a week ago. He threatened all of that. So he could very well do that. But every day, I don't know about you, but I wake up, I've never, in all my days as a journalist, in all my 40 years as a journalist, I've never known a government like this. Never. Not even in the 70s when we thought Labour was bad in the 70s. At least the ministers in government then, they were kind of big beasts. There were people, who... They did mess up the country, but they had political brains. They were strategists. They kind of had experience and knew what they were doing. This lot, it's we're a laughing stock around the world.
Well, let's move on. But sticking with Starmer, because 6 months ago, he raved about this one-in, one-out deal with France. It's going to stop immigration, illegal migrants and whatever. But Shabana Mahmood has now revealed the rather embarrassing reality of this scheme. So, because of practical issues, she says, after 281 migrants were returned to France, 350 have arrived in Britain. So clearly this deal is a complete con.
We all knew it and we all said it at the time. This was never going to work, mainly because it was engineered by France. And we know that France don't want to get rid of the migrants across here. So this one in, one out has turned out to be one in and 0.8% of a person out. So the figures are 300. We've let 350 in and we've only got rid of 200. I don't know. Anyway, this 281 out, 350 in. So we knew it was never going to work. It was all. This is what Starmer does with everything. Everything he does, and I just said previously, it's a sticking plaster. It's not dealing with the problem. Last week, British and the French stopped a British shadow ship, allegedly. Now, if they can do that, why can't they actually stop a few dinghies in the channel?
Yeah.
And the truth of it is because they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
They could easily, they could get out of the Human Rights Act. They could leave the ECHR. They could just ignore the Human Rights Act,
which they have done before,
which other countries are doing as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's got to. Starmer, the human rights lawyer, is not going to do that. But and in the meantime, we are allowing. We had nearly 42,000 in last year, the highest since 2018.
Yeah.
And there's no sign of it stopping. There's talk this week of Rwanda suing us for
100 million they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? If we weren't paying for it, I would want them to get it. Starmer came in and it was the first thing he did to scrap that scheme. Had that been allowed to be put into operation, this would have stopped. Had people been allowed to be processed in Rwanda, this would have stopped this. And it didn't. And also there was another law in place, if you remember at the time, which said that anyone who came here without papers, without a passport, would just be turned back immediately.
Yeah.
So that was a law that Labour overturned the minute they got in. And this, the Rwanda thing was too. And he did it as a sort of he hadn't even thought it through. He just did it because some people in his little cabal thought it was inhuman. Incredible, because Rwanda's GDP is bigger than ours, and their economy is in a much better state than ours. But there you go. But he just, he listened to the inhuman nonsense and he cancelled it. We would be in a totally different position today if we had gone ahead with that scheme.
In terms of ignoring the ECHR, I think David Cameron was the last PM to do it when Europe was saying you've got to let your prisoners have a vote, and he said no, if you're in prison you don't get to vote.
Quite right.
That's it. We didn't have to leave it. We just said we're not going to follow that part of the law.
Forfeited the right. It's the same thing. It's the same as I don't know whether you've been reading the stories this week about Shabana Mahmood, who and the fact that the state has already let in 6 jihadi wives. This is the state making decisions, and I find this. Can we talk about this? Because
let's talk about. So what's going on with this one?
So what's happened is the state have already let back 400 ISIS fighters. Can you believe that? These are people who left this country to go and fight to destroy the West. And we have let them back in. The government has, this government and the previous one, let them back in quietly without any prosecutions, nothing. Scot-free. They go and try to kill us over there, they come back here. But just more recently, they've let in 6 jihadi wives and their children. Now, we know in these camps in Syria, the one that Shabima Begum's in, and there's another one called Al-Hol. Shabina is in the Roj camp, there's Al-Hol. We know that ISIS fighters rule those camps. There are 8,000 ISIS fighters in those camps, and there are 30,000 family ISIS members. And we know that ISIS are going through those camps. They're forcing young boys to have sex with women to produce lion cubs for the caliphate. They are indoctrinating the children born to these ISIS family members for the caliphate. So any kids that are brought back here who have been in those camps for any length of time are likely to be radicalised. And we're allowing them back into this country where we will no doubt give them a free house, where we will no doubt pay benefits for them for the rest of their lives, and they will have been radicalised. If those girls didn't go out there radicalised, they will certainly be coming back radicalised. We forget that jihadi women weren't just to breed kids; they were actually to promote propaganda. They were there for recruitment. They did train some of them up.
Oh yeah, Begum says that she was stitching people into the suicide bombs.
She did that. She's the one who swept up the severed heads of a lot of the victims. She was a member of the morality police who patrolled the streets with a Kalashnikov over her shoulder. And this is a girl who very recently just said, I'm okay with everything ISIS did. She's not shown one jot of remorse. And the shameful BBC gave the disgusting Begum a platform recently in the form of I think it was an 8-part podcast, where they allowed her to bang on about how she should be free and all the rest of it. And when she never once mentioned the tragedy of all the murdered people by ISIS. The biggest tragedy to her was the fact she couldn't get hold of a bar of orange Aero in her Syrian camp. That was she described that as a tragedy. And we're talking about letting the likes of her back in here. Now, she was refused last year in the Supreme Court. The judge threw it out and said there's no way she's coming back.
And cleverly said that he has knowledge of things that she's done that makes her a huge
Well, do you
risk
remember
for us.
at the time when Sajid Javid, when he was the Home Secretary 5 years ago, he said when he took away her citizenship, if you knew what I knew, you do what I've just done. He had sight of a CIA report, which he said was beyond shocking about her.
Yeah.
But you can bet, they're now talking about taking her case to the ECHR. You can bet what's going to happen there. They're going to say, let her through.
If she came back to the UK, she wouldn't be safe.
She would not be safe.
No. The British people would want to make sure that she receives justice.
She would be the final straw. I mean, I think she really would. You know, she said on this horrible podcast, she said, I don't think the British people are angry at me. I think they're angry at ISIS. No, love, you've got that totally entirely wrong. They are angry at you. We've listened to her, all the media interviews that she's done over the years, never said sorry, never a jot of remorse. Yeah. She actually said in one of those podcasts, she was asked about the death of her 3 children. She said, I'm over that now. Hello. You know what I mean? It kind of tells you everything you need to know. And yet this government is sneaking the likes of her back in. They would put our lives at risk and people in danger for the sake of quotes, terrorists.
But where would she go? What do we do with her?
I don't care. Seriously, I literally don't care. I don't care what happens to her or any of the other jihadi wives. They're traitors. They made a choice to leave this country to go and live with and fight with a death cult. So anything that happens to them from now on, I'm okay with that.
I've got an idea. This is what I'd do. Pick up the telephone and I'd go, hello, is that the Supreme Commander of Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Yep. I've got some girls for you.
Yeah.
Yep. No, they can read. Yeah, they can cook and everything.
Yes, have them.
They love what you guys do. Yeah. Okay, we'll fly them over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what happens. If people say, what about the children? The children are done for. When you're brought up in these camps run by ISIS, ISIS have their own courts in these camps. They actually execute people in these camps.
It's terrible.
When those kids have spent any length of time there, they're finished. They're a danger to the West. End of story. So I don't care.
Have you heard this story here about Starmer leading a case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes? And according to Johnny Mercer, Starmer didn't just do this enthusiastically, he insisted on doing it for free. And those barristers, they don't do out for an out, Carole.
They don't. Johnny Mercer, who was a former vets minister, just said a very true thing recently. He said that Starmer has an ideological hostility towards our soldiers. And that is true. He would rather believe the enemy, the people our soldiers are fighting, than our soldiers themselves. And this thing about Iraq, we know what he's done, what his government has done over the Legacy Act, the Troubles Act, as it's called, where he has opened the door again for them to be prosecuted. He has removed protections that stopped soldiers in Northern Ireland being prosecuted. He's removed them. And now we find out he's done exactly the same with Iraq. He did this for free. And he was acting, this pro bono case, let me tell you who he's acting on behalf of. It was a number of human rights campaigners, including Amnesty International, Liberty, British Irish Rights, and the Kurdish Human Rights Organisation. He was working for them and against our own soldiers, and he was trying to bring prosecutions against these soldiers for things that had happened in Iraq, and there was one particular sergeant called Richie Catterall, who was twice cleared of killing someone in Iraq, and Starmer and Hermer tried to resurrect that and do it a third time. As a result, Sergeant Catterall has tried to kill himself numerous times. He has been sectioned 3 times in his life because of the stress caused by this witch hunt against him. And this literally is a witch hunt against people who, these are soldiers who, have Starmer and Hermer ever put themselves in danger in their entire lives for this country? The answer to that is no. But the guys who get paid buttons to do that, he's hounding them, and because he just hates soldiers. I mean, Johnny Mercer said another great thing. And he said that the likes of Starmer and Hermer, they're not fit to lick our soldiers' boots. And that's exactly the case. You know, these men face situations in danger, the like of which Starmer will never know about. And yet he puts his wig on and he puts his black robe on and he goes into court and he dumps on people who risk their lives for this country. And it's just shocking. And to believe, you know, we found out much later that many of these cases that were brought by Iraqis were just made up cases, totally made up. Now, if I was an Iraqi living in a war zone that had been wrecked, I might try and make up a case as well to try and get a few bob from Britain. However, this country should be smart enough and also proud enough of its soldiers not to believe that kind of rot. So this Sergeant Catterall, 3 times he was hunted for this. 3 times. Twice the courts had cleared him, and Starmer tried to do it again. I mean, if this guy had killed himself, it would have been on Starmer. It would have been completely on Starmer.
No, I'm all for holding our, whether it's soldiers or our police, to account. There's ways to carry yourself, and there's rules and regulations. But as you say, after doing some research into it, it was found that many of these soldiers who were targeted were falsely accused. Costing the taxpayer vast sums of money. Yeah. And yet Starmer, it's almost as if he dislikes Britain.
Well, I don't think he dislikes Britain, JJ. I think he hates Britain. And I think he hates, he's swamped with these ideologies about like immigration. The Labour Party doesn't agree with deporting anybody. It's not offended by illegal immigration at all, as we can see. But also this thing about, human rights barristers will always take the side of anyone but Britain, and that's what Starmer has done his entire career, and is still trying to do, and Hermer is still trying to do that. We won't deport foreign criminals, even if they've raped innocent young girls. We have a legal system now that appears to be on the side of foreign criminals. The case the other day in court, the judge ordered the jury not to be told that the young girl had been raped by an illegal immigrant. That's absolutely pertinent to the case because this immigrant, allegedly, who raped her, he comes from a country where there is no respect for women, where raping women is an okay thing to do. Yeah. And yet the jury weren't allowed to know that. I mean, that's a whole system that is skewed in favour of foreign criminals. And here we are again, willing to believe foreign criminals instead of our soldiers who risked their lives to win that war that we should never have been in the first place. But anyway, that's another story.
That's another story.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our final story of the day. This one is one you're going to like. It's salacious. That's about it, really. It's just salacious. Katie Price is married again. What is this? Husband number 55?
No, I don't even know that. I should know that. It's about 4 or 5. Anyway, she's married this bloke. I mean, I laughed my socks off the other day. She's married this bloke called Lee Andrews, and she was just, you wouldn't think she'd had all these disastrous marriages and relationships, which we've all seen played out on the telly all the time. Yeah. But she used a phrase and she said, "There are no words to describe what Lee and I have together." And I thought, well, there's going to be plenty of words in about a month's time when you're divorcing him. There's going to be plenty, and most of them are going to be unprintable. But she married this guy after 4 days. This is a mother of 3 children who knows the way of the world. She has had enough experiences with duff blokes to try and be a little bit careful. Do you know what I mean? And she meets this bloke. After 4 days, she marries him. It turns out that he had 2 other women on the go at the time, and he was about to ask one of them to marry him, and then Katie comes along and he thinks, "Oh, I'll have her." I don't know if he thinks she's got money because I think she's bankrupt or almost bankrupt. She's always pleading poverty. She just had to sell a house last year, so I don't think there's any money there. But you can just tell this guy is a chancer. If someone has to marry you after 4, well, no one's going to ask you that, are they? If someone asked you to marry them after 4 days, it's just nonsense. You might know that you might think this is the person for you, but give it a fortnight at the very least.
You know what? Even just talking about Katie Price is giving me a headache.
Do you know? There's a part of me I shouldn't. there's a little part of me that feels sorry for her. This was a girl who at one point had a fortune of 40 million. She was a savvy businesswoman, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, not an intellectual, but a savvy businesswoman. She knew what she was worth. And she's lost the plot over the years entirely. And, you know, her kids are looking at this and thinking, here we go again. And she wonders why the kids don't want her involved in their careers. They don't want her on their TV shows.
Well, you know what? I don't want on this TV show anymore. Let's put this
Well,
one
I
to
don't
bed.
think she'd come. She'd say, JJ, who? Has he got any money? Is he good
Is he
looking?
married?
Is he good looking? Has he got any money? No to both of those things. So, no, she's not going to bother you. Don't worry about
Well,
it.
Carole, thanks. I guess we'll end the show there. Thank you very much. Carole Malone, everybody.
Pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank you for watching the Daily Expresso. Like, subscribe, leave your comments. And also, there's a new button called Hype. I only just found this out today. Hype. If you press the Hype button, more people get to see this video. So hit the Hype button right now. Thank you very much and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.